Can I do a video from a love sack? This is like extremely comfortable. I think I found my new favorite place to do videos. Okay, so let's talk about burnout. Let's talk about how to come back from burnout. So burnout is a very real thing. I've definitely experienced it. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it. I would imagine that almost everybody who's successful has experienced it, right? If you were to ask like any top athlete, have you ever been burned out? I would have to imagine that a lot of those people would say absolutely. So then the question is like, how do you come back from burnout? Like, what do you do about that if that's what you're feeling? Let's actually back it up. First off, how do you know if what you're feeling is burnout? Because I do think that like burnout is a very real thing, but I also think that like that it can be it can be an excuse at times with like kind of shutting down from frustration. And I think that those are two different things. If you're frustrated about the results that you're getting, that might also be a very real thing. But saying that it's burnout, right, then obviously you're not really diagnosing the problem. You need to know if it's just frustration about results. How can we tell? If you were getting better results, would you be really excited to be doing what you're doing? That's like the difference there. There are definitely times in my career where I've been pretty frustrated about results, where I would have given like my right arm to have better results. So if I were to answer that question, if I was getting better results, would I be more excited about what I was doing? The answer would have been, yeah, I definitely would be more excited right now. And that kind of tells me that it's not really burnout. But there have definitely been times in my career, I think I went through burnout like 2 years ago myself, where if I would have asked myself, if you're getting better results, would you be more excited about what's going on to wake up tomorrow morning and do it again? And I would have been like, I don't know. And that's where I think it's burnout. Now, that like term is kind of scary, right? Because I mean, what do you think of when you think of burnout? You think of like quitting, you know? Which is not something that I did, when I experienced this 2 years ago. So like, that's what I would say is at the top of the list. Like, how do you come back from burnout, right? I mean, it's kind of like implied in the title, I guess, is coming back from burnout. But like, I think the first thing is that if you're like, hey, first off, I'm going to just try to come back from burnout, I think that you can't put quitting as an option. And maybe you should quit, right? I've done a video about that. I'll link it right up here. So like, that's like a separate topic. But if my intention is like, hey, how do I come back from this burnout? Then like, that's not even where I'm going. So like, I don't want to mentally go there. I can't like wake up every morning and like sort of think about burnout, sort of think about how I'm going to conquer the day, but sort of think about if it doesn't work out, I'll just quit. You know what I mean? Like that cannot be a thought. So that would really be like my first thing is like, just don't think about quitting, like stop thinking about quitting. Like, let's really give coming back from burnout a 100% fair shot for like a little while here. That just like, that can't be a go-to option on a regular basis. Like burnout happens, it happens. The second thing would be to take a break for as long as you can. Now, sometimes we can't take a break for that long because of whatever is going on, but to take a break for as long as you can, so I've been a competitive athlete before. And as a competitive athlete, there was probably almost no times in my career where like I genuinely didn't play tennis for like a full week and fully rested and fully took a break and I can't really remember a single time where that happened. So my point is to do something like that is like incredibly different from your normal routine, I would imagine. And I'm not saying a week is it, right? It depends on what it is. Honestly, I think 2 years ago, I literally probably took like 2 days. But the amount of times, especially leading up to that point, that I had taken a couple of days where I fully didn't even think about what I was doing, shut off the phone, like, completely recharged, that hadn't happened even just for a couple of days for like quite some time. There are, maybe it's something else that you're experiencing where you can take off more time, whatever it is. Like, I would just take it. It's not really about the length of the time. I would take as much time as you can, but I think it's about being 100% there. That's the thing. It wasn't like I had never not worked for 2 days, but it's that on any given 2 days where I had not worked, I had thought about work, and I had stressed out about work, and I had, checked my email for work every 60 minutes. And you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's really where it is like, take as much time as you can, in a row as like a recharge, but mentally be there 100%. So you can come back and like be as recharged as humanly possible. Third thing is, when you come back, change as much as you possibly can. Like, as much as you possibly can. Anything that's even remotely routine about what you're doing right now that you feel kind of burned out about, change it. Because it's going to keep things really fresh. A lot of times, like when we feel burnout, we haven't really changed anything about what we're doing recently. Like, I think back to like when I was a competitive tennis player, and like if I was doing this as a competitive tennis player, like coming back, if I was really trying to come back from this, then I would take that break, and then coming back, I would like literally like get a new racket, which to somebody who doesn't play tennis might sound like a very small change, but to a competitive tennis player, that's like enormous. I mean, I don't think I changed my racket for the last like 4 years that I played, and that's like a huge change. But if I really need to come back from burnout, I need to do that. It would be something that would be genuinely like new and stimulating and challenging, right? So if it's something about work, whatever is about your routine, change it, like question it, all of it. This is going to be specific to your situation, but really try to change things that you wouldn't have changed before, especially again, scheduling wise or routine wise, so that it's just new. And that's important as you're coming back from this kind of, recharge. And the fourth thing would be, I would set up different parameters. Parameters. It's a little New York in me. I would set up different parameters so that you are successful. I think sometimes the other reason why we experience burnout is because we've set up parameters for ourselves for success that are like pretty high. I think I was experiencing this 2 years ago because I was like, don't feel successful until I accomplish this huge long-term goal. Or I don't feel successful when I'm comparing myself to people that are extremely successful, but that's what I'm comparing myself to on a daily basis. Like I had, it's great to have big goals, obviously, but I had big goals in the sense of like, I'm not going to feel good until these are accomplished. And that's going to make like anything day to day seem pretty challenging and unnecessarily challenging. So when I set up different goals, and I set them more up to where like, hey, I'm going to feel really successful when I hit these smaller benchmarks, and different categories, and just like restructure, like what is success? Like let go of like the idea of like, I'm successful when, and then huge goal, and like just set something so much smaller. So that way you can just hit these benchmarks and celebrate and feel really good, right? Burnout is a feeling. Like we're trying to have a different feeling, So these were things that I did in order to come back from burnout. So 2 years ago, I was feeling really burnt out. I did exactly these things. I kind of was entertaining, like, do I want to like quit or not or whatever? And I was like, no, I don't want to quit. People come back from burnout, right? I had to completely push that out of my mind, which I did. Then I took a break, but like very quick, but like a break, like a mental break, like I had not really taken before. in like recent memory at all, right? Then I came back and I tried to change as much as humanly possible about my routine. Like it became really different so that it was fun and new and exciting. And then I stopped thinking about my long-term goal in the sense of something that I had kind of almost like anxiety towards, or like, you know, I mean, yeah, sure, again, have some long-term goals, but I set up really short-term type goals that made me feel so good and feel so good about what I was doing. And all of a sudden, and I shouldn't say all of a sudden, I don't want to say that, but with a little bit of time, then I kind of lifted my head up and I was like, I'm right back to really enjoying what I'm doing. You know, I'm right back to doing that. So that's really how I came out of that. And I think that's a very real thing and a real topic. And hopefully that really helps you. So right now, this guy woke up. I hope that wasn't too loud during the video, now that I think about that. So I gotta go take care of this. So everybody have an awesome day and make it fun. I'll talk to you later. Bye.